What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Clowns podcast. I'm your host, Meej, and today we're going to be doing an early draft strategy for those very precious rounds that ultimately decide the bulk of your team. Now, before we begin, I'm going to quickly ask you to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, and as usual, I say we jump right in. Now, this year's a little different. A lot of people have been traded, a lot of moving pieces, so basically, what I like to do is, I'm going to discuss this round by round, what I think you should do. So for the first round, if you have a pick that is top 5, I say you probably should grab a running back. Now, I wouldn't touch a running back that's named anybody else besides Jonathan Taylor, Eckler, Derrick Henry, or Najee Harris in the first round. Now, you can maybe slip in Joe Mixon because he had a great season last year. It's just I'm a Joe Mixon hater. I feel like I don't know. I have a bad vibe with Joe Mixon every year. So basically, if you have one of those early picks, I suggest getting a running back because the second round is a little iffy with that. You got guys like Leonard Fournette and Javonte Williams, Aaron Jones, who are questionable people. Kamara's getting drafted there in the second round right now. But I think that's going to change after he gets suspended. I think that's supposed to happen. He's going to get probably 6 games is what I'm hearing. So I definitely wouldn't touch Kamara yet. But ultimately in the first round, I really, really like Cooper Kupp. He's ranked 3rd right now. Obviously, subject to change. We're doing those early rankings. But I have him ranked 3rd right now as a player. Like in the league, but as a wide receiver, obviously the clean-cut 1, followed by Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. But there's a case for Cooper Kupp to be the first overall pick this year. Last year, obviously, was an unbelievable season for him. 145 receptions, 1947 receiving yards, and 16 touchdowns. That's unbelievable, pretty unheard of on 191 targets. That's unbelievable. Now, let's take away 500 yards, 30 receptions, and 6 touchdowns, and cut his targets by 35, and he's still projected to put up over 270 points in half PPR. That's unbelievable value. Even though it's the first round, that's unbelievable value. You can bank on him every week. The guy's been consistent now. He's always been one of the best receivers in the league quietly, but last year he really came into his own on that Rams team with Matt Stafford. I think there's a case for Cooper Kupp to be the first overall pick. I also really like Austin Eckler. He gets a lot of receptions, a lot of receiving yards, and he's also a very solid running back to begin with on a very stacked Chargers team in a fantastic division. But I think the overall number 1 pick just has to be Jonathan Taylor for that unbelievable season he had last year. Now, I think it is questionable to think if he can keep that up because I think Nyheim Hines is definitely going to have a role on that team. Jonathan Taylor, he's a beast, but I just don't know if the amount of work he's getting is sustainable. So my suggestion to you for the first round, no matter what, is you should probably grab a running back that is named Taylor, Eckler, Harris, and that's kind of it, to be honest. But I really, really love the wide receivers in the first round. Moving on to the second round. If you didn't grab a running back in the first round, it would probably be a smart idea to grab a guy like DeAndre Swift or Leonard Fournette. And I'm not too hot on Leonard Fournette. I'm not really sure what the backfield situation is there. I know Ronald Jones is gone, so he's probably going to be projected to gain quite a bit more rushing attempts and overall targets and such. But I just think it's a questionable. It's tough because Tampa Bay has so many good players on that team. I know Antonio Brown is gone, so that probably will free up just some overall usage for Leonard Fournette. So I think I'm a little questionable, but as the season goes on, I think we're going to get more details, and I probably will be more hot on him. I think he's a great second-round pick, to be honest. He's a great RB1 for your team. But the main guy in the second round who I'd be looking for is DeAndre Swift. Now, he had that injury during Thanksgiving around last year that really stymied him, if you will. And he only had about 600 rushing yards and such. But he still is a very good player, and reports out of Detroit are that he's going to be a big part of the passing offense. Now, he already was a big part of the passing offense in the limited amount of time he played with Jared Goff there, checking down to him and such. So I really, really like him in the second round, I mean, if he can stay healthy, he could be a potential league winner just because of the fact that he's going to see so much volume and he's a very talented player on an iffy team. And most of the offense is probably going to go through him. Someone I'm not hot on in round 2 is Javonte Williams. Now, I obviously think he's going to have a fantastic season. It's just tough to project where he's going to be because the Broncos have had so many changes with Russell Wilson at quarterback. Their team's a lot better now, so obviously that's probably going to mean an upgrade for the offense as a whole, and Javonte Williams included. But I just don't know if Javonte Williams can sustain that price tag, that second-round price tag, especially since Melvin Gordon is still very much in the picture. I know Melvin Gordon's not the same player he has been, but it's just tough because he's going to maybe steal some carries away from Williams at the goal line. And you don't want to have another situation like Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon last year where that really was just brutal towards the end of the season. I know Aaron Jones got hurt, but that was just brutal to watch as an Aaron Jones owner last season. So I'm not sure if Javonte Williams is worth the second-round price tag as well as Aaron Jones, who's also currently going there for the same reasons. Moving on to the third round, I really, really love the third round this year. It has a lot of stacked players who also carry over into the fourth round. And my suggestion for the third round, I actually love James Conner. Even if it's a reach for James Conner, he has nobody else in the backfield to worry about this year. Last year he had Chase Edmonds for a couple games, and then James Conner, towards the end of the season, exploded. Edmonds is out of the picture. He's backed up by Darrell Williams now, who I don't think is going to steal much of anything. And there's a lot more backfield room for James Conner to run with, and I just feel like he's potentially going to be... I think he could be a top 5 running back at the end of the season. I know, keep in mind, early rankings, everybody. Everything is subject to change, but I really, really love James Conner this year in their third round, and I'm definitely targeting him, as well as A.J. Brown, just because A.J. Brown is an unbelievable player. He's going to be on that Philadelphia Eagles offense, which is now looking to be quite potent. Obviously, I'm iffy on Miles Sanders. I have always been iffy on Miles Sanders. I have zero confidence in him. But that team's looking very good now offensively with Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith. Now, do I think that A.J. Brown is going to have an unbelievable season? Absolutely, I do. So, moving on to the next round, and I think I'm going to start to cut it a little short here, just because we're getting into those fourth rounds where it's all sort of laid out already for you. So, my suggestion is, for the fourth round, is if you don't have 2 running backs already, you should probably grab one. I know I said to grab James Conner. He could fit as a RB1. I really love James Conner. But if you don't have 2 running backs already by round 4, you should probably go and grab one. And just to mention, I'm out on Jalen Waddle and Michael Pittman. I do not like them this year. We know nothing about them. Obviously, we know that Jalen Waddle is a fantastic receiver and that Pittman was hot towards the end of the season, but Hill is definitely going to cut into that target share, and I'm just not sure if Pittman's the type of player that can keep that, those hot streak up from last year. I'm not sure if he can keep it up. Now, the fifth round, moving quickly. Now, I don't think there's any reason to grab a quarterback in the fifth round. The fifth round starts to get a little questionable here with some of the players who were highly ranked last season, but just didn't quite get there. Justin Herbert's going in the fifth round. I think that's a fantastic pick. I think that's the only pick justified for round 5. Maybe him and Lamar Jackson. But I would probably lean towards grabbing a nice solid flex or maybe even a tight end such as George Kittle. But ultimately, round 5 is probably going to be up to you. That's usually that flex round, and it's just an iffy situation with a lot of weird players. Round 6, I would definitely go for a quarterback. A lot of the solid quarterbacks are going in round 6, such as Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. I think that's the best round for your quarterbacks. I don't recommend reaching on quarterbacks ever, just because there's so many good ones. I mean, you could probably sneak in like a Derek Carr towards the late rounds of your draft. And I think I'm very hot on Derek Carr in that hot Raiders offense. I think they're going to be really good this season, and they are in a stacked division, so it's tough to say if they'll make the playoffs, but edging towards back the fantasy side of things, I think that offense is destined for great things. And ultimately, I think that you're going to see quite a few players being up towards the rankings on the Las Vegas Raiders this season. So that's going to do it for the video. Obviously, I just wanted to keep you informed on those first early rounds, what I'm thinking so far. Rankings are subject to change. Strategy is subject to change. Everything is subject to change. So it's ultimately going to be up to you in the end. I'm just trying to provide you with my thoughts on what I'm thinking. So thank you guys for tuning in to episode 2 of season 2. I really appreciate it if you'd leave a like, comment what you wish. I love when everyone comments. I can respond to you. I appreciate the couple of views I got last video. I know it's going to be a tough road now. It's not a lot of fantasy content, but thank you guys all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take it easy.